in a dazzling display of tone deafness only a dictatorship could pull off without blushing. Zimbabwe state broadcaster ZBC, the ever-loyal megaphone of the regime, took to the national stage to celebrate World Press Freedom Day. Yes, you heard that right. The same government that treats journalists like armed robbers suddenly woke up on May 3rd, threw confetti in the air, and pretended to care about freedom of expression. It's like a burglar celebrating Home Security Awareness Week while still in your living room holding your TV. According to ZBC's Fairy Tale News Bulletin, the government of Zimbabwe, under the benevolent and ever-watchful eye of Comrade Emerson Mnangagwa, was positively glowing with excitement as it joined the rest of the world to honor press freedom. One can only assume they meant honor in the same way a python honors a goat, with a long, slow squeeze followed by silence. In the real Zimbabwe, however, journalists are not popping champagne but checking if their WhatsApp are end-to-end encrypted and memorizing lawyers' phone numbers just in case the police come knocking again. Bloggers and YouTubers do not celebrate Press Freedom Day. They survive it. And then came the star of the charade, none other than Dr. Jennifer Muswere, the government's chosen spin doctor-in-chief and the man who makes propaganda sound like poetry. With a straight face, so straight it could slice granite, he stood before the cameras and declared the Second Republic's unwavering commitment to media diversity and plurality. Now, this is the same Second Republic that thinks diversity means having two newspapers saying the same thing with different fonts, and plurality means letting 6 state-owned outlets broadcast the same lie in stereo. Dr. Muswere wasn't just stretching the truth. He wrapped it around a goalpost, sent it to Mars, and then blamed journalists for misquoting him. But let's not forget, this isn't just any government minister. This is the very man in charge of the same laws that are being used to arrest investigative journalists, raid newsrooms, and make sure that freedom of the press remains a cute suggestion buried somewhere between transparency and accountability in the Zimbabwean constitution, the two most ignored chapters in the entire book. For Muswere to talk about media freedom is like a crocodile delivering a TED talk on veganism. He wasn't being optimistic. He was trying to catfish the international community into believing Zimbabwe is now a safe haven for free speech, where reporters frolic in meadows and headlines write themselves without fear. In reality, Zimbabwean journalism is less meadow and more minefield. ZBC's breathless article went on to hail the historic repeal of IPA, the Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act, as if this government just reinvented liberty. What they forgot to mention is that while IPA was tossed into the legislative graveyard, its ghost lives on in even more devious and better dressed replacements. This is the same party that celebrated when IPA was passed against outcries from everyone else. Take the Cyber and Data Protection Act, for example. It sounds like something that protects you from hackers, but in Zimbabwe, it protects the powerful from journalists and weaponizes data privacy to mean we are watching you and we have the receipts. It's the legislative equivalent of changing the name of a snake and insisting it's now a puppy. And then, because no press freedom pantomime is complete without a shiny new document, Muswere unveiled the Zimbabwe Media Policy 2025 to 2030. This glorious manifesto of media manipulation is pegged with phrases so vague they would make a horoscope blush. safeguarding national sovereignty, upholding national values, and ensuring media viability. Translation: make sure the media behaves like a well-trained choir, singing government hymns in perfect harmony. The document promises reforms, transformation, and strategic development, which is called for more infrastructure for ZBC and better tools to monitor dissent. It's less a media policy and more a user manual on how to decorate a cage and call it a newsroom. And just when you thought the satire couldn't write itself any further, Muswere launched into a rhapsody about artificial intelligence and its role in journalism. Yes, in a country where power cuts last longer than most relationships, the Minister of Information is talking about AI as if it's going to fix everything. Forget the fact that journalists don't have reliable internet, let alone access to machine learning tools. Apparently the future is now. Muswere name-dropped things like the Smart Zimbabwe 2030 Master Plan and smart cities, though he forgot to mention that the smart government still can't process passport applications on time or answer basic questions about missing public funds. There's something morbidly hilarious about a government obsessed with digital innovation that simultaneously arrests people for tweets. The same people who want to talk about AI in agriculture are the ones who still treat social media like it's a terrorist threat. And if you are wondering whether all this smart Zimbabwean jargon is backed by functional institutions, transparent policy, or democratic oversight, the answer is no. It's backed by press statements, ribbon cuttings, and occasional Wi-Fi. Of course, Muswere closed his gospel of contradiction by urging the media to embrace these new technologies ethically and responsibly, which is called for: don't use AI to uncover corruption, don't use data to expose looting, and definitely don't use freedom of speech unless it flatters the ruling party. His version of ethics is like a double-edged sword that only cuts those who dare to tell the truth. He even threw in a line about respecting constitutional rights, which is hilarious given that the constitution in Zimbabwe is treated like a doormat, stepped on when convenient and displayed only when foreign investors are watching. Let's not mince words. Zimbabwe's press is not free. It is pressured, prosecuted, and paranoid. The only thing diverse in Zimbabwean media is the number of aliases journalists use to stay safe. The government doesn't want a free press. It wants a PR department disguised as one. It wants microphones that don't ask questions, cameras that only point at ribbon-cutting ceremonies, and bloggers that limit their creativity to food recipes. So here is to the World Press Freedom Day, brought to you by the same people who turned it into a PR stunt, while gagging the very people it's meant to protect. In Zimbabwe, celebrating press freedom is like holding a barbecue in a burning house. You can flip burgers all you want, but the roof is still collapsing. And when ZBC reports on it, they will say the smoke was just part of the ambience. Subscribe to Zimwaves TV, where the satire is sharp, the facts are fearless, and the only thing we arrest is your attention.
Mnangagwa enda ungoita kamuna matoke kupetsisira imishuma endai munoita kamuna matoke kupetsisira birika povari kukudana kamuna matoke kupetsisira taneta isu vana veZimbabwe tatorerwa upfumi nezvikanaka, hatichadisu vana venyika kuparadza nhaka yevana vedu. Saka tatiye